Welcome to Module 3, the third and final piece of the puzzle in our digital advertising class. You're doing great, and step by step we'll get to the most important aspects of our campaigns, which is advertising campaigns and insights. We're getting there. So advertise and engage is the final piece, and we're going to talk about Ads Manager in more depth, audience targeting in equal more depth, and then ads mapping and strategy. So this is where we use the same cold, warm, hot ad structure that we do for our ad campaigns as we do for our audience building for obvious reasons. You have audiences that are cold, warm, and hot, and you can also absolutely assume that you have ads and ad campaigns that are cold, warm, and hot, designed for people who don't know you, designed for people who really know you and are ready to buy. We'll get there. Okay, so first a look at Facebook Ads Manager. We, again, see this screen here. So this is where we're in our Facebook Business Suite, home view. You can see home at the top, and ads, aka Ads Manager. If you click on that, you'll be brought to a screen that looks like this, although it probably won't have campaigns in it if you haven't built any yet. And that little green button that says create, and it's going to get you to create an ad campaign probably as fast as it can make you do so. But no rush here. We're going to get to know it, and we're going to ensure that, again, we're ready to roll. But let's start with understanding a few of the features and the lay of the land. So why Facebook Ads Manager, and what is it that it is so good at? Well, it allows us to create brand new ads, of course, selecting from various campaign parameters, mostly our advertising objective or what the purpose of this ad campaign is, that fits our business goals. And of course, we can manage our creative work. We can upload all sorts of written content and ad assets, and so visuals and graphics and photos, and lean on those later on. There's a media repository in there for us. We can see how our ads look on all different devices with the preview mode, etc. So plenty of opportunity to create new ads all the time, build on the ones we've had, learn as we go, and see fantastic results. Of course, as we've talked about, we can choose our audience. So we are able to determine which audience amongst our list of audiences in Audience Manager is ideal for that particular ad. And if we feel really good about the audience and we know exactly who this ad is going to be for, then we can proceed with launching the campaign. We're going to map that in advance though, just like everything. Next up, we can set up and manage our ad budget. Of course, if we couldn't do this, that would be a nightmare, but we have full control over how much we want to spend on the whole. So that could be the campaign's entire lifetime of 60 days or 6 months, whatever you want, 6 days. Or we can do it based on a daily spend. So only $10 a day tops. And if it spends it in the first hour because it got a ton of clicks and it's a cost per click ad, or, it lasts all day long and doesn't quite spend the whole thing, whatever it is. We can determine the campaign budget and really have full control over it. And as I said earlier, we can set spending limits as well. So you'll play with this as you go, and you'll see the different opportunities and options available to you, and ensure that you never go over budget. You can run ads across multiple places, platforms, and apps. And this is the beauty, I dare say, of the Facebook or Meta environment, is that we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, and we've got Messenger, but we've also got Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Reels, videos, third-party network advertising platforms. We've got sidebar ads, newsfeed ads, no shortage of placements that we get to determine and pick one or all as we're ready to launch our campaign. As we've said, we can test and adjust our campaigns so thoroughly. So seeing, what's working and what's not. Everything from like one headline of ad A versus ad B, right down to the different ad types, carousels versus videos versus lives, whatever it is that you want to boost or advertised. We've got the testing at our fingertips and so much data available to us in real time really quickly. And of course, we can improve performance with something called dynamic creative, where we give Facebook a number of assets to choose from. That could be 10 different versions of one headline. It could be 5 different versions of a call to action button. It could be 6 different versions of our carousel or our imagery or our video. And it's going to pick and choose based on what's performing the best and serve that up more often. So that's dynamic creative, and we can really lean on Facebook to do that for us if we want, or you can dictate so that you get your own information and you do your testing yourself. So the ad campaign hierarchy looks like this. You might have seen it if you've been in Ads Manager, and it just is a 3-step system that walks you through point A to point B or point C. And the first stage is campaign. And all we do here when we go into create ad campaign and we're left at this very first step is determine what our objective will be. And we'll look at those in a second. But is that reach? Is it traffic, etc.? And then we name the campaign accordingly. Next step, we're bumped to the ad set level. And this is where we choose our audience, placements, and budget, and the schedule as well. So, best practice is to have multiple ad sets in order to test different audiences and placements, unless your variant is at the ad level. Perhaps you're happy with just having one ad set because you really want to target that particular audience with that particular budget and schedule, and you're really just going to play with the different ad types that you're showing them at the third level, which is where you load up your images, videos, and text and preview your ad before publishing. So if we look at it in the ad creation view, it kind of takes us down the page like that. But if we're in Ads Manager, it's a horizontal version of that same hierarchy. And you'll see where you're at because it'll be highlighted as a tab. Oh, I'm at the campaign level. Oh, I've been bumped to the ad set level. Oh, look at that. I'm at the ads level and I'm actually building the physical ad. Speaking of, a couple frequently asked questions here. If you're wondering, okay, how do I build my Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns? Where does that take place? Well, we've covered this, but let's do a rapid fire series of answers. Facebook Business Suite, Ads or Ads Manager, and then you go into the campaign builder and you push ad campaigns or create campaign. How, if you wanted to, next page. Where do I specify placement? Okay, well, I'm further along through my ad building process and past that campaign level, and I get bumped to that ad set level. That is where it takes place. So I'm building at, not the ad set level, the ad level. I am building up my ad creative and I determine where I want it to show up, and I can pick all or one of the above. And I'm gonna see how it looks. And if in fact it looks like garbage on Instagram stories because my ad is a horizontal video, I can say no, don't show up in any vertical placements like Messenger or stories. Just stick to that square placement like newsfeed, sidebar, Facebook, whatever it is, shop, etc., marketplace. And where do I specify the format? Same thing, right in here. When I'm building my creative and I decide what type of format this ad's going to take. Is it a carousel? Is it a video ad? Is it a single image ad? All very much probably determined based on my creative and, again, where I'm planning on having this show. So those ad assets show up at the very end as well, and this is where I'm loading in my media in advance or as I'm building. And I've got hopefully a repository elsewhere of great assets to pull in, so I'm not scrambling as I'm in the ad building mode to go find video and graphics and photography. All right, so let's look at the mapping and the strategy of how we build these ads in the same way as I mentioned as how we build our audiences, with the funnel in mind and really the customer journey. So do they know us or do they not? And that's how we're going to speak to them through our ad campaigns. So if we're back in that area of Ads Manager and we create campaign, we think about what we want to achieve, first of all. So that's determining that campaign objective. Well, what are those options available to us? As you can see here, there's no shortage. Brand awareness or post engagement, aka the long boost. Video views, perhaps. We really want to drive views of this new trailer that we've got for our upcoming event. Traffic. I just want to drive people to my website. I am ready to get them there, and this is going to be a hot ad or a warm ad that gets people to click, not just gets them to become aware of who we are. Maybe it's store traffic, maybe it's lead generation, you're collecting email addresses, or maybe it's ads that you want people to engage with you on Messenger with. So if we look at the objectives glossary, and you can see the objective options on the left column there, And then we see what Facebook has determined are some categories of where and when to use those objectives. So they're calling it build your brand. We call it cold ads. Then they're calling it make connections. We call it warm ads. And then they're calling it drive sales, and we call it hot ads. So if you need further kind of guidance on what your objective should be, you can glance at that tool or that graph and sort of have an idea of what your objective will be based on where your people are at in their journey. A little bit more information here about what each of those objectives are. If you need a glossary, you can refer here. But essentially, it goes without saying that we want to start out with some awareness and engagement ads before we move into things like sales and conversion. And I encourage you to think about this on a long basis. So is it an entire year or 6 months that you're running awareness ads? Or do you always have awareness ads on? That high top of funnel, always on evergreen ad campaign that's constantly driving people to the next stage in their funnel. And if you're really sophisticated with this, you can run audiences or create audiences that no longer show it to people who've landed on your website. So you have an exclusion in there, and you can always run that evergreen ad to that audience of cold people until they click on that ad, until they land on your website, until they engage with your content. And then they're no longer part of that cold audience. They're now bumped to a warm audience. And that's a pretty sophisticated funnel methodology to audiences and ads, but it's really not hard to achieve once you understand the funnel, as well as inclusionary and exclusionary audiences. Next question we would ask ourselves is, where do we want our ads to appear? And we would pick those placements. So this is all part of, again, our strategy of building our ads. And is it automatic placements or is it manual placements? So this is where you get to see what placements that ad is eligible for, and then click off any that you don't want. Again, probably based on your audience and where they are, and if you're trying to reach people on Facebook Messenger or not, or Instagram or not, but also on the creative. Does it look good outside of a vertical format? If it's going to be served up in the news feed, but it's actually a really vertical video. So up to you. We often choose manual placements, and we'll turn off a few of those placements just that don't look great or don't perform well. And then how long, how much, and for who. And this is where we're determining the campaign time frame, budget, target audience, etc. So once you're in there and you're at that ad set level, those questions will all be answered, and it'll walk you through it. And it's going to ask you to add the audience to that ad campaign. And this is where you will have already created that audience in advance. You know exactly who is getting this ad, and you pop that audience in there. And it takes no time at all then to build your campaign. And then what do we want to say? Well, again, this is where we add our copy and our creative assets. So whether it's a single image, a video, carousel, or a collection, this is all where we get to make those choices at the ad level when it comes to format. So a little bit more on the funnel ad strategy. This is the final step of this class, and we've talked about it a lot, but let's see what it looks like in real life. So if we were creating a cold ad, well, what could that be? Perhaps our objective is, again, awareness. Simple. Awareness or engagement are really great cold objectives. The metric that comes with an awareness-based ad, because it's trying to be served up to as many people as possible, the built-in metric is cost per mil. That means 1,000 in Latin. So it's a CPM ad, not a cost per click, CPC. The ad type that we're using here is a single image ad, or the format. And it's pretty generic. Discover how Taboola native ads can help you get more high quality traffic from top sites, generating you more leads, sales, and conversions. Great call to action, or I should say headline, and a catchy image there of the girl who's excited, the colors, the using words like you and your, and the headline there in the bottom of the ad as well. The secondary headline is really powerful. So an example of a cold ad served up to people who've never heard of them before. What does a warm ad look like? All right, well, maybe our objective here is traffic. So now we're in that cost per click metric, trying to get people to our website, and we're paying based on that metric and objective. And the ad type, again, is a single image ad. So a couple examples here from this cat howl. And she's speaking in more familiar language because I've heard of her before. She's serving this up to people who have engaged with her content already, perhaps. Or maybe someone who bought from her a year ago but hasn't returned. Just some examples of warm audiences. So the warm ad to correspond with that warm audience. Want to learn how to go from charging this to this with clients at this? Link up for a free call with us. Kind of like, hey, come on back. Or let's take this relationship a little further. So just thinking about the language that you would use, and of course the imagery or the asset that you would use at that warm ad level, which would probably be a traffic type ad. And then the hot example. So in this case, the objective chosen is conversion. Let's get them to convert. Let's get them buying, get them across the finish line. The cost per result is the metric. So how many people bought, because we actually have this attached to a conversion goal. So Facebook can measure the results instead of just the clicks. And then the ad type is a retargeting ad. It's a single image ad in this case. Maybe it would be better if it was a carousel or a video, but either way, it's a retargeting single image ad for people that have abandoned cart. So the copy, of course, hey, beautiful, super familiar. Remember those pretty little things you left in your cart? We've kept them nice and safe for you, but we can't hold on to them forever. And then the headline and the call to action is return to your shopping cart. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty pointed. But there's some scarcity. We can't hold on to them forever. And hey, remember those pretty little things? It's enticing. And you're like, what? How do you know this about me? Oh, because I'm part of that hot audience and you pixel tracked my visit to your website yesterday. So that's how it happens. And they might have this ad set up to run for 4 days, 5 days, maybe 3 days. And then there's another version of it that sets in or clicks in that's even more pointed if you haven't yet taken action. So you get the idea. There are 3 video demos for you in this course, and they take you through building a cold awareness ad, a warm traffic ad build, and a hot traffic ad build. So it's not a conversion ad, but it's a different type of traffic ad. So there's 3 ad building demos that are really extensive. They take you right into the back end and they show you every step along the way. And I encourage you to watch those before you go in and build any ad campaigns. If you are not ready to build ad campaigns yet, no problem. Just focus on your audiences and your promoted posts. Start there and determine, what you're going to boost and to who and what your budget is. And then if you have maybe the wherewithal or the time, go on in and try the same thing on LinkedIn and possibly Pinterest and Twitter. And then from there, and other platforms as well. If you want to play on YouTube ads, if you want to run Google ads, we have some specific courses for that. But for these purposes, we're talking about the top social media platforms to advertise or boost on. And that's a great starting point. And if you're ready to move into ad campaigns, by all means, we encourage you to do so. So I wish you so much luck with that. Head on into your workbook and you'll be able to map out those ad campaigns. We've just got a cold version here for you, but you can reprint or scratch out the cold and write hot and warm on this as well, and determine the campaign name, everything that happens at the ad set level, then everything that happens at the ad asset level before you go in and build, so that you're really clear on what your messaging will look like and your audience. With that, I want to say congratulations. You've made it to the end of the digital advertising course, and possibly this is the end of your social media marketing certificate too. And we are so glad that you've been along for the ride, and we hope that you have been learning as well as launching all the way along. You will have full ability to go back and review and repeat or replay some of these videos and the demos and the lessons and the workbook exercises in order to activate everything you possibly can. This is the time to take action. Don't just learn, but launch and really execute and activate the plans and the ideas that you have in your head. You're miles ahead of so many other people that have learned a little bit about platforms and then don't take advantage of them to their fullest with their features and their opportunities. And the more you're in them, the more you'll learn and start to love the returns that you're seeing. So much luck to you in the year ahead or the month ahead with your content and your organic and paid efforts. And I look forward to seeing you on and offline again really soon.